Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the penultimate round of the season. I believe that's the case, actually. Sorry, I'm only just getting in now. We are here. This is the, this is not what's the word for tri-penultimate? There is a word for it. Do I know what it is? Absolutely not. But we are here on the formation lap, 13 cars on the grid, in a soaking wet Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Reimer, the current current pole sitter here, race day 2016, who has the potential to win the title. I'm going to make sure now all my mic inputs are replaced. Yes, we are good to go. The championship looks like this. Coming into today's Grand Prix. Race day atop the table, 6:54 to 5:44 over Cali Robb in second. Palmer third, 5:38. Cake Thomas fourth at 4:54. Reimer in fifth at 4:33. Of course, how the point structure is worked. I need to find it. Hang on. Yep. As the point structure is worked, 60 points for winning a race. With 2 rounds to go after today, the maximum amount of points you can get over the 2-race span is 120. For the time being, that gap right now between the top 2, between Race Day and Cali Robb, is 110 points. So, Race Day, if he's able to outscore Cali Robb, who is not in the lobby. Race Day needs to score here, and that is his bottom line for today. Appears that this one is going to be full wet. Reimer atop on the grid. He'll have the inside heading into the first corner. His teammate of Race Day alongside. At the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. For another edition of the Midwest Esports F1 League. It's going to be a total drag race into the first corner. Who will come out on top as we're just waiting for Final Flame to take the back of the grid. The 2 Red Bulls on the front row of the grid. Reimer to the inside. Race Day on the outside. 5 lights. And they are away. And it looks like a good start for Reimer. He will get ahead of Race Day on the way into the first corner as they follow in. Race Day, will he be challenged by Sui on the way in? No, not quite. Oh, the Red Bulls will tangle. They're side by side. Sui's going to try to stick it down low now. Pause. As he's in there trying to find the way around Race Day. Is he going to be able to do it? And it looks as if the Red Bulls have at least pulled away from the rest of the pack for now, but it's Nicky 64 and Chuck plays in there side by side, going in towards the 3 and 4 kind of chicane here. It's a bit difficult to really go even side by side in the dry, never mind through the wet like this as we see Final Flame, but the 2 Red Bulls again nearly clashing, going through turn 7 on the opening lap. It's a massively entertaining first one. This no DRS will be in play for this adventure, I believe. We're gonna get pure all-out flat racing here in the wet. It's going to be something to behold. The 2 Red Bulls have stayed out ahead. Sui has, I believe, stayed second. Matter of fact, the entire top 6 has not gained any position here. Look at this. Race Day looking for the bottom on his teammate. Can he get it? It's going to be a matter of acceleration now. And Reimer's going to get better acceleration on the outside. Sui follows in behind. He's got about 0.3 of a second back to Lancy. But now, the 2 Red Bull drivers, can they go side by side into Wall of Champions? This is about the ballsiest thing we're going to see them do. Surely, they are going to try it. Race Day to the inside. He's going to nearly force his teammate off track. Reimer nearly putting his teammate on the wall. Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton, potentially reminiscent here. Race Day on the way into the corner has been overtaken by Swede during that exchange. Race Day's going to try it back round the outside. Lancy has a look for the inside, but a slip on the tire then, not quite. And I think at least for a minute here we can calm down. Final Flame is going to send it on Shariah Coleslaw here. Will he be able to get it through 3 and 4? Yes! For the time being, at least. Yes, he will. Oh, contact made. They're both going to hold on. Final Flame's going to have the outside going through turn number 6. More contact there. He'll now have the inside through 7. The Williams a fire up flow. Can he try it around the outside? Bit of a tank slapper for him. 2 by 2. They're stacked up, heading down what would be the DRS straight here, but it's not going to happen. Houdini and fire up flow. Houdini's going to try to outbrake the Williams. He's got him. He may actually get his teammate here as well. Trying to get back on the throttle. Not quite. Reimer and Sui battling into the corner. Remember, Race Day scores, well, of course, fastest lap. I guess he'll have to score, was it 13 points here, pretty much, to be champion. We need to look at the point structure again. Bonus point for fast lap, bonus point for hard charger, and a bonus point for pole. So, realistically, let's assume at least 2 of those points per round. So the most you can get for a race in total, 62 points. So 124 needs to be the gap. The gap is 110 right now. Race day walks out of here scoring at least 15 points, and he is league champion. Reimer a little bit tricky getting on the throttle right now. Sui following in behind in his footsteps. At least it has to be said, the top 3 looking very competitive for the time being. Sui looks to be handling this brilliantly in the wet here. Lancey falling behind as the pressure of the Williams in from his behind right now. Well, that sounded a little weird. Trying his best as Gottney Weeb potentially can Cake Thomas join the fray here. Gottney Weeb, is he going to try the inside? Bit of contact there with the back of Lancey. 3/10 now between Sui and Reimer. Down the back straight they go, the Casino Straight, I believe, as it's called. Into the corner. And then out of Wall of Champions and down the pit straight. We look at the schedule, of course, only 2 rounds left to go after this. Suzuka International Racing Course in Japan for the penultimate round, and then Circuit of the Americas to round out this 13th Midwest F1 season. Maybe a little contact there potentially between Shirai and Fire Up Flow. Tough to tell with how much these cars are sliding around. Let's not forget, race day hasn't won a round. Can we look at the results page? Are those up yet? Well, race day did win in Brazil. That does make sense. I was about to say, he actually went a couple of races there without having won. So 0.4 of a second here from Reimer to Sui. And I'm thinking for the time being, it's really got to come down to any of these top 3 because, you know, as it goes, when you're in the full wet like this, you are not required to make a pit stop. You can take the full wets the full way if able. Gottney Weeb and Lancey now side by side. Bit of a switch back there potentially from Lancey was initially taken, has gotten it back. 2/10 race day to Sui, and I tell you what, for race day, he's really just got to finish this race. That is the important thing here. Gottney Weeb around the outside of Lancey. Oh, contact made. Does Lancey hold on? Only just. That was about as close as it gets right there. That high speed going down the straight in the very slippery, full wet conditions as it is. Lancey, brilliant car control to be able to hold on to that one because tell you what, that one could have ended poorly very quickly. Now we've got the 2 Saubers inverting position now. We've got, who do we have? Lancey about 4/10 back to Gottney Weeb. It looks like the next closest battle is that of Fire Up Flow, trying to find a move at Chuck Blazin potentially. 3 and 4. And yeah, I'm really... Oh, that was a big slide there for Final Flame it was. I think realistically the battle is going to have to happen. You know, oh, that was a bit of a clip there to the outside wall. You saw that on the way under the bridge there. Reimer had actually hit the Armco barrier on the outside. Doesn't appear he's got any damage, but that was noticeable there. I think when we think about, you know, how this race is going to play out here, realistically, it's going to have to come down to who makes, you know, the least amount of mistakes. Oh, no. Fantastic. Just what the doctor ordered. What a fantastic way to cock things up, game.
It's time for you to start thinking about pledging your allegiance to a constructor and driver from F1. Let's go and make our fan zone choices now.
No, Natalie Pinkham, shut your... No, shut your... Stop! What am I looking at here? What is this? The last thing I want to hear in this circumstance is Natalie Pinkham telling me what to do. I'm dreadfully sorry. But, like, come on now. Anyway. What an excursion this has been so far. We do have a safety car out on track, it seems. Oh, of course I miss it. This is just painful. I think something's... Yeah, Final Flame is missing the front wing on the side. Something's happened there. Of course, the game boots me and then a safety car comes out. Just natural. All right, I'll leave it go when I gotta run to the bathroom. I haven't had a wee in probably 5 hours. Okay, anyway. Sucks, being as busy as this is, man. I'll be fair with you. There's only so many people that you can, make happy by prioritizing them. You know how it goes. Anyway, who has pitware? It appears the pair of the Saubers have both made a stop here, both now on fresh, full wet tires. Fireflow is a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Looks like the safety car is going to be out for another lap here. It's not always about the money, Spider-Man. So, we will resume this race, I am assuming, with 10 laps complete out of the 35. It appears the grid has caught back up to itself now. There it is. There's the message. Reimer still leads this transaction here. I don't know what other words to say. Reimer and Race Day now sit atop the table. It appears that Sui, since the time I don't even know what's happened. I don't know what has happened there with Sui. I know I got kicked from this lobby, and then a safety car was out. So I'm going to pretend I know what was happening. Final Flame we did see was missing a front wing, so I don't know. Anyways, about to be back under green here. Reimer and Race Day lead the charge. Gottney Weeb has promoted himself up to third here. Lancey fourth, and Kate Thomas in fifth. 4 Red Bull cars in the top 5, followed by the pair of the Astons, a McLaren, a Willie, an Alpine, a Haas, and the 2 Saubers. Green flag back in the air. Race Day already wants to have a quick look on his teammate. He's not quite going to get it in the first corner, but as they make their way through, Gottney Weeb follows in behind. Lancey potentially. Could he have a look at the William here? Kate Thomas, maybe will he have a look too? Yeah, not quite. I don't necessarily think we're going to see too ridiculous of racing here off the start. Of course, treacherous conditions as it already is. These guys have to be careful, and they've got to be smart. Race Day 2016, remember, only needs to score 25 points to be able to win the championship here. Gunnerati and Final Flame side by side going through 7. It appears the Haas is going to back out of that one. The 2 Red Bulls now still within 0.2 of a second of each other, and this would be, more or less perfect to see between them. The team that, undoubtedly is going to go on and win the Constructors here, and they're synchronized swimming, I guess, in this case. Through the hairpin they go, back on the throttle. Gottney Weeb trails by about 7.5, 0.8 of a second. Lancey trying to close in as well. Kate Thomas has actually not gotten a good start, good launch after that safety car. It appears that everyone else is, about 4 or 5 tenths of a second away from each other. The grid not necessarily spread apart, but we're not all too close to each other either, as through Wall of Champions they go. Final Flame in the Sauber has now picked up a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. Second driver of the day to do so. Race Day 2016 now with the fastest lap of 1:22.565. We take a look at the penalties. It is that of Fire Flow and Final Flame with our 3-second track limit penalties. I'm both assuming happened at the Wall of Champions chicane. It's, again, difficult to take in the dry, never mind the wet. This is one of the more, I would say, demanding maybe isn't the right word, but it's taxing, mentally to be able to hit these marks so consistently as Kate Thomas has not done there. Sui round the outside, exiting turn 7 in the Aston Martin back up to 5th. But these two guys here, when they're not battling each other, they are absolutely perfect, this Red Bull duo. Reimer, one of the best drivers I've seen in, the recent F1 games, it has to be said. Out of the, 2 or 3 leagues that I had with him, this guy, front runner in most of them, that's for sure. Race Day 2016, massively talented driver, former Division 1 champion. But I wouldn't be surprised if one day Reimer makes that charge and gets himself into that position. And speaking of charge, Race Day is going to try to make one on his teammate here, potentially, and not quite. As much as they love racing, these two, and as much as they have performed some spectacles in the past, we think of Monza, some danger and dumbassery is not necessary here. Fire Up Flow and Chuck blazing side by side. Appears the Williams is going to go around the outside of McLaren. Oh, and Chuck Blaze is going to try to outbrake him back. Lots of contact there. They're going to go miles off track. Shariah may be able to have to look around the outside now. A little squirrely getting back on the throttle. Of course, the Williams was tucked in behind as well. Well, Chuck Blazin was late on the brakes, trying to get that spot back. I think that may have to go down as a penalty, too, when you think about it, because that has really cost Fire Up Flow more than it has Chuck Blazin. Of course, still a lot of race left to go. Squirrely getting back on the throttle there. Both Saubers actually. Gunner falling off the falling behind this battle a little bit, about 4 seconds back. Once again, the battle between the top two is only limited to 0.7 of a second. Reimer still leads. Race day 2016, half a second. It appears from Sui. Well, I'm reading this from Sui now. He's actually... he's accidentally exited out of the game. That's why he's fallen back so much. Oh, that's unfortunate. Wonder if Division 2's going well tonight. They appear to have had 15 checked in as well. And again, we were supposed to have. We've only got 13. Fire, Flow, and Shariah Coleslaw battling once more through the first set of corners, but the battle still continues for the lead of this Grand Prix. Good battle shaping up in Division 2, it appears. Top 3, 4 in the division, separated by less than 40 points, I believe that is. Yeah, so massively good there. But again, race day, you know, it's not guaranteed he's going to win this title. Of course, he's got to score at least 25 points, I think it was, that I said today. And he does become champion. I think realistically, he's performed an absolute, not necessarily miracle, but it was one of those drivers that in the past couple of seasons kind of, it was, you know, he won races, let's be honest. Had a win season 12, had a couple of wins back season 11. 1, 2, 3, actually had a trio of wins there. Reimer's actually going to pick up 3 seconds for multiple warnings now. Had a trio of wins in season 11. Of course, won the title in season 9. As Race Day's actually going to get around his teammate here. Race Day been one of those drivers in the recent seasons, at least, that's kind of, you know, teetered back and forth on being championship caliber and not championship caliber, but he's definitely there once again. We remember, what was it, going in towards F1 22, I think it was, or something like that. I mean, he was just so ridiculously good. And season 9 is the season he won the title. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins in season 9. Season 8, he had won at least 1, 2. I don't think he competed anywhere prior to season 8. Wonder what his actual win count's looking like now. I'm pretty sure, I'm absolutely sure that Spaceman has tagged me in this somewhere. I apologize to Spaceman, because he does go through so much effort to put these things together, and it's one of those things that if you're kind of in the heat of the moment in the race, you just kind of... I do not like looking at my phone trying to statistic-wise in this, you know what I mean? I will say this. Race Day 2016 has only finished outside of the podium twice. Hungary round 2, where he finished 15th. Singapore round, what is it, 12? No, 11. Where he finished 4th. He has won 5 times. His Fire Flow getting around Chuck Blazin here. Has won 5 times. Has finished 2nd 3 times. Finished 3rd twice. Chuck Blazin now an additional driver on a 3-second penalty. Oh, this is quite good here, side by side. Maybe it was Chuck Blazin almost kind of pushed in there. It was very close to being in one of those scenarios. They were very close together. Let's actually, I'm curious now. What does Race Day's win total look like here in Division 1? I'm very curious. The side by side still Chuck Blazin the final flame. You guys are battling pretty good. We got 20 laps to go at the line this time. Two. looking for win number 24 in Division 1 today. Race day 2016. Into the inside looks Nicky 64 on Cake Thomas. Two Midwest F1 veterans here doing battle once more. And Cake's actually going to get away a little bit squirrely there. Wasn't as clean as maybe he would have liked, but he's not in position to lose the spot quite yet. Houdini might have a look at Shariah here coming up in just a little bit. But for the time being, Race Day leads his teammate of Reimer by 2 seconds, followed by Gottney Weeb. He's actually under a lot of pressure here from Sui and potentially Lancey after that. 3-car battle here for that third spot. Gottney Weeb in this and Sweet, who looking to punch his ticket back onto the podium after accidentally exiting out of the game, I think it was. Oh, who's that gone off there? Cake Thomas has just gone well off the track. Nicky 64 is going to overtake him as Cake has to take to the escape road. That will demote Cake back to 7th. Cake's actually going to be under a little bit of pressure from Fire Up Flow here, even despite the penalty. Still a lot of race left. And I think that's what we're going to see out of these guys with the penalties here, including Reimer, Fire Up Flow, Final Flame, Chuck Blazin. I'm assuming we're going to see these guys give it the all, because, again, we're still only really halfway through this race. You know what I mean? If you're not giving it the best when, you know, you're... I think, is it this time is going to be halfway? You know, I mean, if you're not giving it everything at this point of the race, you know, there's still so much time left where the other drivers around you could absolutely still score. Oh, into the wall there goes Gottney Weeb. That was a bit of a noticeable collision that time. I don't believe he's lost any wing. No, it doesn't appear that he has. Fire Up Flow to the back end of Cake Thomas. They do have a yellow flag somewhere along the line. Houdini's gone round. Doesn't appear that it's worth the safety car or virtual for that matter, but I'm assuming potentially has he lost some wing. Chuck Blazin's actually left the session here. I don't believe if that's on purpose or not. I'm not too sure either way. Once again, 2 rounds left after this race. We go to Japan next week and then Coda the week after for the final round of the season. The maximum amount of points you can get here in Division 1 is 62. A win and then either the fastest lap and pole or, you know, most positions gained. Either way, it appears oh, we got a couple of cars into the pit lane now. Reimer on the way in, Gottney Weeb on the way in. And hey, some of these guys, well, Reimer, I believe... Interesting strategy here for Reimer. He's actually gone and switched to the intermediate tires, the first one of the grid to do so, and I'm very curious to see if that is going to make sense. I mean, the rain is still absolutely pissing it down right now, and it has to be said, Reimer's gone out on the intermediates. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. I have no doubts in Reimer's abilities as a driver, but that seems like a total mistake for me. Gottney Weeb, Sui, and Lancey have all pit for fresh wets, as it turns out. Of course, Reimer doesn't really have much to lose at this point. He's on a 3-second penalty. Oh, big slide. Well, he's going to be battling Cake Thomas here, and I tell you what, in fairness, Reimer's pulling some pretty good pace, and he's going to get back round Cake Thomas, despite being on what I would absolutely consider worse off intermediate tires. Of course, the track very wet, as you can see. I think if we get another good shot, you can probably see that the water is still puddling on track. Well, maybe not. I mean, you could start to see a line has been carved into the circuit there. I don't know. Really tough. It is still absolutely chucking it down. The question is if Reimer is going to be able to, as he's going to get around Nicky 64 here. The question is if Reimer, this is, I think, going to be the braking zone where we see if it's gone too early or not. And I tell you what, he's handled it really well. And oh, look at this. Well, race day into the pit lane. Okay, I was just wondering why Race Day was suddenly losing all that time, but Race Day on track. It appears he is also now on the intermediate tires, and look at this. He's going to go side by side with his teammate here. And wow, okay. Red Bull 1 and 2 once again. Oh, big slide there from Reimer, but he's caught it well. 3 drivers now on track on the intermediates, Shariah Coleslaw being one of them. I'm assuming we are going to see more drivers potentially take them, especially if we see continually as well. As Gottney Weeb to the inside of Final Flame. Good bit of brake job there from the Williams, and he's done it cleanly too. Just wondering, you know, kind of how that plays out mentally as far as these guys are concerned, because now, you thought that... first of all, and let's make something clear as well, these guys run no assists anyway. Here they are, pissing it down rain, and they are on what I would consider to be the wrong tire compound to be on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the wets are too slow right now, and the Red Bulls have decided that the intermediates are just fine. Maybe I'm wrong. However, still, impressive to say the least. About a second here between the top two. This time by, well, there we go, lap 20. So next time by, we'll have 15 laps to go. Reimer's actually taking the fastest lap right about now. Only 2 cars within what would actually be DRS range on each other. Final Flame to the back end of Gottney Weeb. Kate Tom is about a second removed from Nikki 64. Not really quite yet in position to overtake. I'm still thinking that we're going to have at least one more safety car today. All 13 cars which started this Grand Prix are still on track. The rain is still falling. Very hard as well. Swee's actually going to try to go around the outside of Final Flame here into the braking zone. Nearly clips the grass on the outside. That one got a little bit risky there. But still, not a bad spot. Final Flame's going to have it get away from him just a little bit there, but he's caught it back. Sweet around the outside. Well, I thought he was going to have a look into the braking zone there. Not quite. Bit of a tap there, potentially. Back on the throttle. Heading towards the hairpin now. Let's see, Sweet. Oh, he's going to be quite late on the brakes here. Well, I thought he was going to have a look. There's a little bit of contact there. Meanwhile, Gottney Weeb to the back end of Kate Thomas. This is less than a tenth of a second. Weeb one to the outside, backed off, goes back to the inside, backed off again. Into the pit lane, I believe, is that Nikki 64. Race day now the fastest lap on the intermediates. Gottney Weeb round the outside, looking for that third spot, and he's going to get it. Kate Thomas, unfortunately, for the time being, was not able to defend. 0.2 of a second. Trying to get to Final Flame here is Sweet. Trying to get himself back into contention for what was podium positions. Lancey in position. Nikki 64 falling even further back out of the pit lane here. Lancey might have a look at Swee here in the next couple of laps, I would assume. We've now got 4 drivers on the intermediate tires. As Swee's going to try it round the outside and out of the inside of Final Flame into turn 6. Final Flame does appear to be missing front wing on the left side. Not the best camera angle there, but you can kind of see once he pokes his head back in here. Let's see, will we have a look now? Yep, you can see the end plate missing on the left side. Not only does that hurt downforce and cornering, that hurts braking performance as well, which is going to be huge in these conditions as well. Less than 15 laps to go now, and it has to be said, race day might be cruising to a second ever Division 1 title. Bit of a tap there from behind by Lancey on Final Flame. Exiting. Oh, Final Flame barely catches it. And oh, that is a rash 3-second penalty there, but he's picked it up. He might have to really get that one taken off. I think he probably could. As Nikki 64 maybe trying to get around Houdini here, but Final Flame nearly lost the car, saved it, picked up 3 seconds of penalty anyway. That was unfortunate, because the game has only done what it thinks it's correct. Nikki 64 to the inside of Houdini. He's actually going to outbrake him quite well there in the braking zone. Nicely done for Nikki. Fire flow around the inside of Houdini will go up to 9th now. The Saubers have apparently had themselves quite a day so far. Coming up on 10 laps to go here in the near future. Closest battle on track now is that of Fire Up Flow to the back end of Nikki 64. Houdini trying to move his way into this as well. Fire Up Flow and Houdini, mind you, both on the full wet tires. Nikki 64 on the intermediates, which is, I'm, again, a little surprised that we're seeing that be not necessarily the preferred tire, because the majority of the grid's still using the wets, but I would say definitely the quickest. Kate Thomas and his V-Carb still has yet to stop, actually, has taken those wet tires on which he started this Grand Prix on so far the whole way. Well, interesting to see if he's going to keep it that way. Swee not within striking distance on Cake for the time being, nor is Cake really in striking distance on Gottney Weeb, so I think kind of basically just chill and, you know, get yourself into a spot, or maybe if something happens, you'll be in a good position. Once again, I still think maybe another safety car is to come here. We're in a spot now. The rain's still falling. A couple of cars on much older wet tires. The grip is definitely going to be reduced, as we've got Final Flame into the pit lane onto the intermediates and a wing change as well. Got the Sauber of Houdini in there too. Now the closest battle, one of them at least, Sweet to the back end of Kate Thomas for 4th. I think Sweet, I'm not going to say we'll have an easier time of this, because he is on 5-lap old wets, and well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be an easy time for Sweet, who knows. To the inside, going into turns 8 and 9, and, well, yeah, it looks like he's going to get that one actually kind of easily. Nicely done for Sweet. Sweet, again, one of the, I tell you what, the amount of veterans that we do have here in Division 1. Race Day, veteran for quite some time. I think season 6 or 7 was his first 10 years into this. Sweet, absolute OG. I think it was season 3 he came in alongside Kate Thomas, I think, as well. Lancey's been here for a good 5-6 seasons now. Nikki 64 here since the beginning, the very beginning. The whole universe was in a hot, dense state. It's a Big Bang Theory reference. Shariah Coleslaw has been here for a good minute, too. Houdini, another one of those drivers, been here as long as I can remember. It's good to see, it really is. Side by side, fire up flow to the inside of Nikki 64 into Wall of Champions. Final Flame AK around the outside of Shariah Coleslaw. Now for the 10th position, of course. Final Flame on 6 seconds of penalty. Funny to think that, you know, back even... I hate being that type of person to reminisce on the old times, you know, but, you know... I mean, let's think about it. When I first came into this league was Season 2. I casted the first ever Division 2 race. I didn't even know that, to tell you the truth. In hindsight, that was the first ever Division 2 race. And I had no clue that that's what it was. I thought I was just there, you know, it was that sort of thing, you know. Went to Division 2, then we went to went to 3 divisions, and then eventually we went up to 7. 7 divisions of Midwest F1. I mean, let's think about that. Seasons 2 and 3, I was a freshman in college, at least still was at the time. I had just gotten done in by my ex-girlfriend there. Struggling mentally. Not eating correctly, on medication. This was the one part of the week I had to look forward to, if I'm honest with you. This was the one thing that, you know, I basically said, as we're going to have about 10 laps to go here in just a little bit, this was the one thing I said, you know, I'm going to give this a try. I've never commentated on a race before. I'd only been watching F1 for at least a month. You know, but this was something I had to look forward to, and it still does. You know what I mean? It's not a thankless job. I've got a lot of support here, but at the end of the day, you know, it's all due to just how it is. You know what I mean? It's not one of those situations where you actually, you know, make money off of it. You don't really get any fame from doing this. You just kind of show up and do it, and you make the 20 drivers out there feel as if they're on some sort of pro grand stage. That's what I've tried to do, and that's what I'm going to continue trying to do. Going into Season 14, we're going down to 2 divisions, one of them being assist, all assists, and one of them being none-assist. And I think that, you know, it's one of those things that nobody could have done anything differently. 7 divisions, as fantastic as that was, you knew that was never going to last forever. I think it was almost one of those things where it was like, I'll be honest with you, COVID-19 ruined a lot of people's lives, but God Almighty did it create this absolute phenomena of Midwest F1, and it created some of the best times I've had in my, you know, young adult life. I'm still only 22. I started this again, I was 18 years old. And think about where we've been. I do seriously hope that we can continue this going. Of course, the F1 games are such total piles of shit nowadays. It has definitely turned a lot of people off to the sim racing. iRacing is obviously the best thing that we have close enough to actually being out on track in person. But you know what? We're going to take this, and, you know, as far as I'm concerned, as far as this league is still doing F1 games, I'm going to keep doing it. As we have the pair of the V-Carbs now battling with each other, 0.2 of a second here, potentially. Chuck Blazin, who doesn't appear to have rejoined the session at all. Overtaken by Final Flame there. It's interesting, I've casted over 100 Midwest Grand Prix. I mean, at this point, I think I'm almost more tenured than Crash, and I tell you what, most people will say, oh, there's a certain race that stands out to them as their favorite all time. For me, that's just not the case. You know why? Because every single time we boot up this game, it feels incredible, and these guys put on a hell of a show. Even a race... Whoa, good voice crack. Even a race like this, where, you know, raining, pissing it down, 13 cars... Only two of which within half a second of each other and their teammates. Still, it's something to look forward to. Even if the races become podcasts, I'll be your Joe Rogan. Lancey Round Cake Thomas into Wall of Champions here. I think the question is now race day, as he just got to pretty much pedal this one home. Become a two-time champion of Midwest F1. Look at the Division 1 record book. He will join. Actually, this is interesting. He will join GSR Ryan Rods and Scornsey as the only two multi-time Division, as now one of the only three multi-time Division 1 champions. Kenny in Season 1, that was before my time. Jacko Season 2. Remember getting to race Jacko in F2 and thinking, like, you know, the couple of times I would beat him every here and ago. I thought, honestly, you felt like you were on top of the world in that scenario. You really did. Scornsey dominates. 1, 2, 3, 5-time champion in Scornsey. Race day now looking for a second. Ryan Rod's a 3-time in his own right. He had some great battles with Scornsey there over the seasons. Race day is going to pull himself around the Haas of Gunner then. 1.3 the gap from Shariah back to Chuck Blazin. I'm more unfortunate that that's not a genuine battle for position there. Two V-Carbs have rather separated themselves. We'll go along with Shariah just in case this becomes interesting here. Oh, big slide on acceleration. Goodness me. You see, even though, I mean, again, they are on the mediums, it's still absolutely pouring out. Of course, like, you know, by the logic of the game, it's really not conditioned for full wets, but goodness me, is this almost too much for the intermediates, and it's almost not enough for the full wets. It's how they are just struggling to get their foot down, aside from maybe race day. Well, no, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. He struggled a little bit. I'll be fair with you. With the slide on acceleration there, down the backstretch once more. Final Flame. Oh, he's going to get round to the inside at Nicky 64. That one, well, it has to be said, rather came out of nowhere. That gap was not that close just a couple of seconds ago, and Final Flame has gotten Nicky 64. Have a nice day. Here's your change, and out of the drive-through window you go. Final Flame's absolutely blown past Nikki64 then. At the line this time will be 5 laps to go before race day is crowned as Division 1 champion. Looking for his 24th Division 1 win all-time. Looking for what I believe is his 6th this season. It's been an absolute, I've cast Division 1 this season more than anything else, and let me tell you, it's been a total pleasure watching the masterclass been put on by this Red Bull team. I tell you what, Reimer as well in his own right. Very talented driver. Let me tell you this again. Good voice crack. Let me tell you this as well, and I've said this before. Reimer has been in contention for in the 2 other leagues I've casted most recently. He's been in contention for all 4 of those titles. Actually, this will be my technically 2nd and a half, almost 3rd full season with CCRL. And even then, he was totally in contention. I mean, that guy's so hyper-talented. So Shariah Coleslaw getting around Nikki64. Shariah is actually almost within a good spot on Final Flame here. Potentially on his way, about a second behind. Nikki64 was overtaken by the Alpine just recently, and now actually starting to fall back a little bit. It's interesting. I think some of these drivers enjoying the intermediates more than others. Nikki, you can see, actually didn't do too bad getting on throttle there. I think he's actually had a better getaway than Shariah that time, but either way. I tell you what, that Sauber's gotten way out of position there. Made somewhat of a mistake going through turn 5, and now Shariah right up against the back end of the Sauber. If they can get away good enough, Shariah might have a look potentially even into the hairpin, depending on how they get away out of turns 8 and 9. Another little bit of a slide there for Final Flame. Nothing really to complain about. Into the braking zone they go. Shariah, I tell you what, closing that gap, trying his best. Certainly looking to get himself into the position here. .5 of a second. In towards Wall of Champions they go. Try on the back end of Final Flame. And when I say back end, it is still. 6.5, 7/10 of a second, the gap. Final Flame also on the intermediate tires. I'm thinking Shariah's actually on older tires than that of Final Flame. At the line this time for race day will be 3 laps to go. 33, 34, and 35. Before the Red Bull is crowned a champion for the 2nd time. Seems Shariah's lost about 3/4 of a second there. Of course, once penalties are applied, he's going to be getting that 9th spot. Don't really think any other penalty is going to come into play as far as position change. Reimer's not going to lose a spot to Gottney Weeb. Fire Plo is obviously not going to lose it to Final Flame, and even once Shariah overtakes Final Flame after the penalty. That one might be interesting. Okay, so Sweet, only 3 seconds ahead of Lancey. Fire Plo actually could be looking at make a move on Kate Thomas here in just a little bit. Oh, we have a yellow flag. It's the Haas of Gunner, I think. Is he just getting out of the way, or is he... Yeah, he must be just be getting out of the way for blue flags. So 3 laps to go now. Race day making his way. Actually, more or less 2.5 at this point. Chuck Blazin, the robot's actually gotten around Nikki64 then. Could you believe that? So between Swee and Lancey's 2.9 seconds. Swee is in the red by about 1/10.5. He's got to make 1/10.5 to get ahead of Lancey and stay ahead of him even with penalty applied. For the time being, that Aston Martin is sliding backwards. Started this lap about 3.1, now down about 2.6, and still... Well, maybe not that time. He has gained back about 0.2 there. Fire up Flow 3.5 back to Cake Thomas. Mind you, Cake has still not stopped. 32 lap old. Wet tires, 2 laps to go. Into the braking zone, Fire up Flow on Cake Thomas. Oh, he's not going to commit, but Cake goes way deep into the braking zone and Fire up Flow. Well, I was going to say lucked into the spot, but they're still side by side. What a battle this is. Still side by side. Fire Up Flow and Cake Thomas still a fantastic way about here, and Cake's going to back off. Two-tenths of a second. Maybe will Cake try to strike back into turn one. Yeah, he's not quite going to be close enough here. Race Day making his way down the Casino Straight for the penultimate time here. And then towards Wall of Champions as well. Go along with Race Day 2016 here because he is now one lap away from becoming a two-time Division 1 champion. One of now what could be only 3 drivers in Division 1 history to win multiple championships. Scornsey 3 and 4, Ryan Rod's 5 and 6, Scornsey and 7, Ryan Rod's 8, season 9 for Race Day. It's been 1, 2, 3. This will be the 4th season since Race Day has last won a title. And let's think about season 9. Came onto the scene after F1 2021 was a newcomer. End of the game, came into 2022, absolutely nailed the new game. It had to be said, he was one of the most dominating drivers in that era. You know, we talk about when we have a new game, the drivers who win the titles in those seasons are those who adapt quickest. Race Day was absolutely on it in F1 22, 23, and the time in between since his last championship. Again, teetered back and forth, had a lot of hard moments, had a lot of moments of controversy, of drama. But what is not controversial here, and what has been not necessarily given, definitely earned, not always obvious, but definitely noticeable now, Race Day 2016, coming across the line, two-time Division 1 champion in the Midwest. Absolutely earned it, no doubt about it. He's had competition this season, no doubt about it. Reimer comes across the line in second. Great showing, double podium, 1 and 2 for the Red Bull team. Gottney Weeb appears he's going to be taking third. Race Day 2016, multi-time Division 1 champion, and now, has to be said, cements himself as one of the greats. Again, only the third ever multi-time champion. By the way, we've still got 2 races after this. Suzuka next time out, and Coda the week after. Division 2's race is definitely heating up. I will say this, though, Hospita, has been an absolute pleasure joining me here. And once again, for another season of Midwest F1. It's not over yet, but thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.